Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mr. Kovalt, and in this video I'm going to be going over metric unit conversion factors and how to set them up if you're not given them. So if your professor or teacher is anything like me, I usually have my students memorize the metric unit conversions. But you really don't have to memorize the conversions, but you do need to memorize what the prefixes are to your metric units. So as you know, the metric units are related to each other through prefixes and the base unit. So you got to know what the prefixes mean. So here I have a list of the prefixes in order of what their multiplier is. So here, for example, tera is 10 to the 12 and giga is 10 to the 9. So we have a trillion and we have a billion. Mega is a million, 10 to the 6. Kilo is 1,000, and so on. So here we have deci. Deci is 1/10. Centi is 1/100th. Milli is 1,000th. Yeah, and so on. So you need to know what the prefixes mean. So if you have a kilometer, that means you have 1,000 meters because kilo means 1,000. If you have a millimeter, then that means you have 1/1,000th of a meter because milli means 1/1,000th of, right? Whatever the base unit is. And so you need to know what the prefixes are in order to set up what the equality is between your metric units. And here in this video, I'm going to specifically show you how you can set up and figure out what the equality is between a metric unit that has a prefix and the base unit. So let's get into this. So, you need to know the relationships here, and you need to remember the ordering of this. And one way is to notice a pattern. So with the exception of the middle part here, they increase or decrease by 1,000, or in other words, the exponent increases or decreases by 3. So if you can remember these middle part here, these here, then you can remember that everything else will increase by 3. So for example, kilo is 1,000, that's 10 to the third. Mega then is going to be 10 to the sixth, giga 10 to the ninth, tera 10 to the 12th, and so on. So all you need to remember is the ordering of the names or the prefixes. If you can remember that, then you can just remember that these are going to increase by 3. And the same thing for going down, right? So these are getting smaller. So, and these are getting larger. So again, we have milli is 10 to the negative 3. Micro is going to be 10 to the negative 6. Nano, 10 to the negative 9. Pico, 10 to the negative 12. And these both go up and down. They continue. There's other prefixes. For example, I think after tera is alta, which is 10 to the 15, if I'm not mistaken. Pico, after pico is femto, which is 10 to the negative 15. So there's other prefixes here, but we don't need to go beyond that. The idea is that as you go to other prefixes, they're increasing by a factor of 1,000, or in other words, the exponent is changing by 3. Okay, so that is what I wanted to talk about with regard to the pattern. But how do you remember the middle part, going from milli to kilo? Well, you can remember the order there by this mnemonic device. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk is a nifty mnemonic device that will help you remember the order of the middle. So K for king, K is kilo. H, hecta, capital D, deca, and then the B here, that B here is for base. The base unit that doesn't have a prefix like gram, not kilogram, but just gram. Kilogram would be 1,000 grams. Kilogram, base unit would just be gram or liter or some other unit. So here, then deci, drinking, D for deci, C, then notice that's a small d, and then small c for centi, and then small m for milli. So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk will help you remember the order between kilo and milli. And then beyond that, you just need to remember mega, giga, tera. Mega, giga, tera, you guys are all familiar with that because of data like bytes, megabytes, kilobytes, right? Megabytes are bigger than kilobytes. Gigabytes are bigger than megabytes. Terabytes, now we have terabytes. That's bigger than gigabytes. So you can remember that if you remember mega, kilo, giga, tera. I switched those other two around by accident. And then here we have micro, nano, pico. So that might be a little bit harder to remember, but that's all you need to know. And then remember, the numbers increase by 3. These are going to be negative because we're small here, and then we're large here. So these are increasing by 3. So that's the kind of overall pattern that can help you remember the order and what each of these mean. What factor do each of these mean? Okay, so now that I've set that as the basis, how do we write our equalities? How do I remember or figure out what the equality is between a particular metric unit with a prefix compared to the base unit? This will only work. This method that I'm kind of teaching you will only work if you're to get the metric unit that has a prefix in front of it with related to the base unit. This won't work between two different metric units that have prefixes. So if I want to find an equality between, say, a decagram and a kilogram, right? Both of those units have prefixes in front of them. So this method that I'm going to teach you or show you won't work for that. If you want to convert from a microgram to a megagram, you're going to have to use two conversion factors, both of which are related to the base unit. So you'll have to convert one metric unit with a prefix. So let's say megagram, you'll need to convert megagrams to grams, and then convert megagrams to, say, kilograms or something like that. So let's get into this. So let's say I want to figure out what the equality is, or what the conversion factor is, or equality is for between micrograms and grams. And I want to make sure I set it up correctly, because you can easily make a mistake. And this method will prevent easy mistakes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the units equal to each other. And I'm putting the lines there because I'm going to put numbers there in a moment. So grams, a certain number of grams is equal to a certain number of micrograms. And this funny looking M is for micro. So here we have micro. So once I have the equality written with the spaces here, I'm going to put numbers in the spaces. Well, what numbers do I put? One side has to have a 1. Okay. Well, which side do you put the 1? It doesn't really matter which side you put the 1, but the other side, you have to make sure that you have the right number, right? So what I do is I always put the 1 with the metric unit that has the prefix. The prefix gets the 1. And I'll show you in a moment why that is. So I'm going to put 1 with microgram because micro is the prefix. And so that's going to get the 1. And then what do I do with that one? Well, since this has the prefix on this side, I'm going to put the prefix multiplier on that side. What's the prefix multiplier? Micro is 10 to the negative 6. So I'm going to put 10 to the negative 6. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the equality between micrograms and grams. And so that way, you know this is true. This is not going to be a mistake. So you can use this as a conversion factor, right? So now I can use a conversion factor. I can put 10 to the negative 6 grams over 1 microgram, or I can flip it if I need to flip it. But so I know that this is going to be true, and so I can now use this as a conversion factor. Why do I do it this way? Well, because it can get confusing. Where's my eraser? So a lot of my students, when they don't do this way, they make easy mistakes. Now, there is another way that you could do this. I said you could put the 1 on either side. So if I do this way, right, let's rewrite this. And I have my microgram. I could put the 1 on this side, that's fine. But what do I put on this side? I have students that will put 10 to the negative 6. That is not correct. Think about it. Gram is a large unit. Micrograms are very, very small. So if you write this, you're saying that 1 big unit is equal to a tiny fraction of a tiny unit. That does not make sense. But I'll have students write this all the time because they make a mistake, right? So if you're going to put the 1 with the base unit, what you need to remember is whatever the prefix multiplier is, you have to change the sign. So this is a negative. So if I'm going to put the 1 with the gram, I got to change the sign. So 1 big unit is going to equal a large amount of smaller units. That makes sense, right? So you can, both of these are equal. Both of these are the same exact thing. So either one would work. However, it gets confusing, right? How am I going to remember this one and this one? That's why I focus on this method, because I know this one will work, right? So again, this is okay. You can use this one. But again, students will make mistakes. And to avoid mistakes, just remember one way to do it. And so my way is I always put the 1 with the prefix, and then I find the multiplier, or if I memorize these, I know what the multiplier is, and I put that with the base unit, right? And then that way I don't have to worry about changing the sign of the exponent, right? I just take the multiplier for that prefix and I put it with the base unit. So the 1 goes with the prefix, the multiplier goes with the base unit. And so that way I will avoid any sorts of mistakes or confusions or anything like that. Okay, so that is how you set up the conversion factors. So let me do another example just to make sure it's clear. So let's say I want to relate kilograms with grams, right? So I'm going to have my grams equal to a certain number of kilograms. Again, I'm going to put the 1 with the prefix unit. So this unit has a prefix, so that's going to get the 1. And then the other side, which is going to be the base unit, is going to have the multiplier for kilo. Kilo is 1,000 or 10 to the 3. So I'm going to put that with the base unit. Now I have my equality. I know this is true, so I don't have to worry about making a mistake. So now I can go ahead and use this equality, set up my conversion factor the way I need to convert my unit. Okay, and again, I want to reiterate that this method only works when you're relating a prefix unit with the base unit. If I want to convert, say, kilograms to micrograms, what I need to do is use the base unit as a middleman, right? So I'm going to have to convert to grams first, right? And then convert grams to micrograms. So I would have to set up the equality between grams and grams and kilograms first, use that to convert to grams, and then I would have to use the grams to micrograms equality, use the conversion factor to convert to micrograms. So that would be a two-step process if I wanted to use this way. So that's usually how you would convert from one unit that has a prefix to another unit that has a prefix. So if you have another way of doing it, if there's an easy step here that you know, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear that. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please like, share, subscribe to my channel. Like the video, share the video, hit that like button. When you subscribe to my channel, though, make sure you hit that notification bell. When you do that, make sure you click all so you can be notified by all the videos I put out. And then finally, put a comment down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Again, if you have other ways of remembering this, I would love to hear that from you. Thanks for joining me and have a great day.